Alright, hi ladies and gentlemen, my name is Trisha and I am with Insectopia. Alright, as part of Insectopia, I like to travel, teach about insects. Recently, we just started National Moth Week. I guess I could have chosen a moth, huh? We did just start National Moth Week. I've been blacklighting almost every night up to National Moth Week, and in a couple of days I'm going to be traveling to Arizona for a conference. So this session today will be our last one in July. Alright, so the next session after today is going to be August 4th. That is our Thursday, not this Thursday coming up, but next week. So we've got about a week and a half between this session and the next one. Feel free to watch any of the pre-recorded classes. I know that there's probably a couple that you guys haven't done yet, so it's always good to go back and follow along, and then you can fast forward through all my crazy stories if you want. I know that a lot of us like those too, so today we are looking at a Jerusalem cricket. Jerusalem crickets are in the family Stenopelmatidae, and this Jerusalem cricket was collected in Utah. I'm not exactly sure what species it is, but I do have it identified down to genus. Where'd my... I wrote it down, I promise I did. Here it is. Alright, so... The genus on our Jerusalem cricket today is Ammopelmatus. Because we don't know what species it is, it's common to write SP dot at the end after the genus. That just says that, yes, we know it's in this genus, but we're not exactly sure what species it is. And there's only one P because there's only one individual, so we know that it's likely only, you know, it only has one true species. Now, if you had a group of Jerusalem crickets and you knew they were all in the genus Ammopelmatus, but you weren't sure if they were all the same species, they could be multiple species in the genus, you would write SPP. That kind of pluralizes it to let you know that you're looking at kind of a mix mash of them. But our specimen is an individual. We'll only have one species, so SP is good enough for us. It looks like you guys are experiencing some buffering, and I'm not sure why exactly that is happening. Hopefully it smooths out shortly. Well, I hope that everything is going to run smoothly. I'm sorry that I'm getting a notice from YouTube, but I'm not exactly sure how to fix it. I will have to look into it after our stream is done today. So we are sketching a Jerusalem cricket. And our genus is Ammopelmatus. SP. Oh, yes. And if it seems like I might be a little bit tired today, I will definitely admit I'm kind of tired. I've been blacklighting probably... I've been blacklighting 6 times in the last 7 days. I skipped Thursday night, but I blacklighted... Oh, I might have been blacklighting more than that. I did it Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night, Monday night, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday. So I've been out and about at nighttime for about a week now, and so I guess that cut in a little bit to my sleep. I am going to pull my specimen all the way over here so we can see what it looks like kind of in full. I might even pick it up a little bit so it's a little bit closer to the camera, turn the light on. Yeah, that's better. So that's what our Jerusalem cricket looks like. Now I actually do have a YouTube video all about Jerusalem crickets. There are a plethora of common names for these. Jerusalem cricket is going to be the most I think, in my opinion, is the most common name. I guess it's the most used one in the circles that I run. But there are a variety of names. Let's see. I'll go ahead and I'll look up a couple of them really quick. I don't remember what exactly they are. Right. So some people call them potato bugs, I believe. Let's see. There we go. Some people call them children of the earth. Some people call them skull insects. Yeah, and some people call them potato bugs. So it just depends on where you're living and culturally who you're talking with. I know that a lot of, like, Navajo call them skull insects. And then in Spanish, they call them Niño de la Tierra, which means child of the earth. And so, I have heard that some people... Oh, we're back. Okay, good. I've heard that some people think that their face looks almost humanoid, so they think that they kind of look like a almost human. I'm not sure about that, but I do see that its face is very oblong, right? It does have those kind of cute compound eyes. Up here on here's Terry. Up here on the front of the head, you can actually see the labrum, or the upper lip of our insect. That's something that a lot of times is kind of small, so we don't always get to point it out. They do like to dig, so as we are looking at the front legs, we'll notice that they are full of all types of spines on their tibia, and so those are going to help them dig in their environment. A lot of times Jerusalem crickets are found, it's funny because you go into the environments that they're found, and ideally you want to be on a hill or on a mountain, and you want there to be some type of angle to the side, and you want there to be kind of tufts of grass and rocks all over the side of the mountain. And so once you find an environment like that where they live, so I've collected them in Arizona, New Mexico, and Utah, but they have a wider distribution than that. If you find that environment, a hillside with some grass and lots of rocks, you'll find these guys, and all you have to do is flip over the rocks, because they like to be kind of dug down, hidden underneath the rocks. That's going to be a place that holds a lot of moisture, and that's what they're going to like. They're going to like being kind of underground and sort of like a wet, like a moist place. Alright, so it looks like we're all good there. The abdomen is really beautifully striped. That's something... Oops, I turned to our genus. The abdomen is going to have lots of these beautiful stripes. My specimen, its abdomen is a little concave. I do know, I think that some people, this specimen is large enough that some people would have argued that I should have dissected it and filled the abdomen with cotton so that it stayed expanded. I don't really prefer to dissect my insects as I am mounting them, so every now and again I will have an abdomen that shrinks down like that, and it's fine. Alright, so under our microscope, that is as far zoomed out as we can get. So we can still zoom in. We can zoom in a lot. We're going to be able to look at the very tiny details of the eyes, but I'm going to have to measure over here with a ruler rather than on our microscope so that you guys can have a measurement of approximately the size of our insect. So if we're going from the tip of the abdomen until the front of the head, we're looking at approximately 4.4 centimeters. Alright, so for us English, us in the U.S., we are looking at an insect that is just over 1.5 inches. Let's see. Yeah, something like that. Just over 1.5 inches by 1/8 of an inch. Alright, so that is our specimen, and I think it's about time to just go ahead and start sketching. I'm going to be drawing it dorsally. I consider drawing it laterally because I like to draw crickets a lot of times laterally. You get the jumping legs a lot better if you draw a cricket laterally, but my Jerusalem cricket is mostly a digging specimen, right? So if it's going to be digging most of its life, it doesn't have all of the modifications for jumping around. Oh, I'm wearing green, I forgot. But I'm in front of a green screen, and as it turns out, I'm not that see-through, which is great. I think that every now and again you can see through my arm. Haha, that's fun. Alright. So I'm going to get our basic body shape taken care of. Let's see. So our head is going to be kind of a very oblong D shape. So I'm going to start at the back of the head and start with this kind of downward facing arch. And then, as you know, I just like to go ahead and get the outline, kind of the idea of where my insect is going to be sitting done. And then when I come back, I'll be able to add all the details. So this is kind of my shape of the head, rounded, and then it's coming up like this. Obviously, I think it's going to be coming down a little bit narrower, and our antennae are going to have to go crazy-like, but that's fine. Alright, the next segment behind the head is our pronotum. I'm sure if you've been here a couple of times, know that the pronotum is the first segment of the thorax, spelled P-R-O-N-O-T-U-M, pronotum. Tum-ta-tum-tum-tums. Alright, so that is our pronotum. I'm sorry, I might be a little tired. That's fine. It's like I am sitting here sketching and talking to myself. It's alright. Alright, so I've got my pronotum taken care of. And then my abdomen doesn't get too much more narrow. In fact, I might even kind of imagine some segments. And then our abdomen starts a little bit more narrow and then kind of gets wider. I think that a lot of these lines will be fixed when we come back at it. But I like to get just the overall size kind of taken care of, because then I know that my specimen is going to be staying on the paper. So I have some basic shapes on my paper that I'm going to be working off of. I've got my head, my pronotum, and then this section of the abdomen. And the second and the third segments of the thorax, they are right about in here. And that's why I was trying to kind of add kind of this little flare, because that's where the legs are going to be connected. Our first pair of legs are connected to our pronotum, and they're going to be going up and out. And then our second pair of legs is going to be moving more like this. Actually, let's go up first. Because our second pair of legs are going to be mostly pointed backwards, right? That's going to keep our insects balanced. And then our third legs are going to be coming out more like this. So I have some basic outline shapes. I've got some stick legs taking care of my overall body shapes. Sounds good. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and we're going to zoom in and start focusing on this head and what I can do to make it look more realistic. All right. So I have the overall size of my head taken care of, but this also includes the mandibles. And one of the things I want to do when I'm starting off my specimen is kind of break the head part away from the mouth parts. And so I'm going to go ahead and kind of give myself maybe a little bit more than that. I'm giving myself a horizontal line that's going to kind of cut this segment in half so that we can see that up here, this is going to be where the eyes are, and past that is going to be our mouth parts. And this line, it looks mostly straight, but then on the edges, it does kind of curve back a little bit, so making sure we get some of that kind of detail in. If you're using all straight lines, your insect isn't going to look realistic, right? Because the lines on insects generally aren't exactly straight. All right, so taking care of that, making it kind of arched, and then towards the back, you can see that it's not... It's more like this, where we have more of a kind of a stronger angle. Alright, so that's going to be kind of our head shape. I'm going to go ahead and add in our compound eyes. Our compound eyes are small and yellow, so they're the same color as the head. I think that makes them almost look odd, because a lot of times insects' eyes are going to be kind of black, or you're going to be able to see all the parts, whereas this right here, that little oval, that's our eye, and the antennal socket is right in front of the eye. So if we are looking at that, we're going to be taking our eye and adding an antennal socket kind of in front and then towards and closer to the center, and that's where our antennae are going to be coming out from. We do have characteristics up here for our mouth parts too. So right here and here where our head started to angle down, that is actually going to be where our first kind of triangular shape is. That's a trapezoid, right? Where you have it flat and then angled on either side. We're going to create this kind of trapezoidal shape. And that is not the upper lip yet. That's an extension of the head. I forget what that's called. But then, if we look a little bit past that, come on, Terry, help me out. All right, so right here is that trapezoid we drew out. And this right here, that is going to be the labrum, or the upper lip. So we're going to come out from here and then make it kind of arch around. And that shape is my upper lip. Now, you'll notice that we have all of this space to the left and to the right, and that is for my mandibles. So the mandibles come out and they kind of meet up here. And those are our mandibles, our chewing mouth parts. They do kind of get dark tipped, so I'm going to go ahead and add some graphite up here to the top so that it kind of gets darker up near the top. Very cool. Alright, and then my antennae are actually pretty long. I would say that the antennae are going to be the length of the head and the pronotum combined. So if you kind of eyeball that and then put them out there, I'm going to go ahead and sketch my antenna kind of like this. They are long and straight, and they have many, many segments. You can go ahead and just give as many cross segments as you need. The antennae are going to be on top of everything, so feel free to go ahead and erase any lines that they go through. And I'm going to add my antenna to the other side too, and then it'll look like it's kind of hugging its own name with its antenna. That'll be kind of cute. So my antennae are going to be coming off to the side, and maybe they're going to run into the legs at some point, but that'll be fine. I'll go ahead and sketch the legs around the antenna. Sometimes I wait until the very end to draw the antenna, but then every now and again I will actually forget to come back to the antenna, and I want to make sure that they are nice and long and exist on my specimen. Alright, so that is my left and my right antenna. Personally, I like my left one better. It's a little bit more narrow. I'm not going to go back and fix it, though. Nope, not going to happen. I think that the tarsal segments are in the wrong direction, though. They're going to go straight. Yeah, that's better. Alright, so that is about what my head is going to be looking like. Also our palps. We have mouth fingers on this guy, so I'm going to scooch, oops. Scooched too much. Alright, so I'm going to scooch it forward a little bit because I want you to see these palps. Now, in Jerusalem crickets, I'm honestly not sure if these are maxillary or labial palps. I know that they have both, I'm just not sure which ones are longer. But right here, these are palps. They are essentially mouth fingers. They help grab onto food and push the food towards its face. There is a theory that back in the day, before all insects had 6 legs, that each one of these little mouth parts was also another leg, and then over time they adapted into being mouth parts and not legs. Which is kind of interesting, and you see that in the centipedes. When they envenomate, they're actually envenomating with their first pair of legs, not with their mandibles. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and turn my desk cam back on. And we're going to be adding those maxillary palps to here and here, pretty much right at the base of the mandibles. And it looks like they are approximately 3 segmented. They might have a 4th segment very, very close to the base. So 1, 2, 3 segmented, and then on both sides. And those are going to be kind of helping my cricket to eat. All right, let's go check out the pronotum. All right, so I am seeing a variety of different body parts here, and I do want to make sure that we kind of know what we're looking at. So right about here, this larger disc shape, that's going to be our pronotum, all right? That's the pronotal shield. A lot of insects have it. Sometimes the pronotal shield extends over top of the head, like in lightning bugs. Sometimes, like in this one, it stops right before the head. But it also stops the cricket from looking like it has a neck, right? It protects the connection between the head and the rest of the body. And I think that that's pretty important. We're also seeing here, here, and here. Those are Coxae, all right? So we have the femur that starts here. Those are essentially the hip bones. And a lot of times when we're looking at an insect from the top, we can't see the Coxae. Coxae is spelled like this, in case you are curious, C-O-X-A-E. And a lot of times from the top, you can't see the Coxae because they are generally kind of tucked underneath the body and sometimes even fused to the thorax. Whereas here, you can see them, they are obvious, and they are definitely a part of my cricket. So when we're looking at right about here, where I said there's some segments that get a little wider, that's actually we're going to be fixing this region to make actual rectangular Coxae so that our legs will connect to them. All right, but we're going to start off with our pronotum, which is right here. Thank you, Terry. All right. Make sure that our edges stay rounded, right? So a lot of times when I'm sketching, I will accidentally kind of make my pronotum very kind of pointed. And some insects have pointed shoulders, like stink bugs. There are some species of stink bugs, like the spined, well, it's Podiasis, the spined stink bug. I don't know if that's what its common name is. But some of them do have sharp angles. This one does not. And then we've got kind of this wide U happening. And if this is one of your first time sketching insects with me, keep in mind to be patient with yourself. It does take time. We call it pencil miles, right? Sometimes it just takes time and practice sketching over and over before you are great. I'll admit I'm okay with my line drawings, with getting the outlines taken care of and a lot of these shapes. I am still working on learning how to do kind of textures and shades and shadows. So those types of things are things that I'm still working on. But I love to be here and share my knowledge about the bugs too, right? So if you are here and enjoying yourself, that's what counts. And learning something new about insects, that's required. All right, so I am seeing kind of, there are some colors that I would like, some kind of textures that I would like to try to add. We've got some horizontal lines in here that kind of circle, and I'm going to do these a little bit lighter, I think. We've got some horizontal lines in here, and then right about in the midline, we've got a light color that's kind of a spine that comes up this way. And I'm just going to leave kind of those there for now. All right, now at the edge of the pronotum, right about there, I believe that is what we can see of the second segment of the thorax, would be my guess. I guess it could be the third segment, but we've got another segment of the thorax right there. It's pretty itty-bitty, but it exists, so we might as well make it, put it on our paper. The center gets a little bit narrower, so it can come out, go back in a little bit, come back out, and then we've got that little segment there. Our connection to our abdomen starts at the end, and it comes out kind of diagonally like this. I see that my cricket was kind of a little wider than it needed to be, so I'm going to erase some of these abdominal segments so that I can go ahead and fill in what I need. So here, it comes out almost like a capped off pyramid and then curls around. All right. And then the magic question is, how many abdominal segments? I don't know. Let's go check it out. I guess the better question is the whole abdomen going to fit underneath my microscope? Maybe not. It's not going to happen. All right. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10-ish. 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, so about 10 abdominal segments. That gives you an idea of how far we're going and what these guys are going to look like. You'll notice that on the edges of the abdomen, they are pretty smooth. Jerusalem crickets are well known for being very kind of globular, very rounded. You can see that there are some divots in my specimen. That's just because my specimen dried and flattened out a little bit. But they're very round and smooth and even. So they're not like a wasp where you're going to want to kind of shingle the abdominal segments. In this one, it's definitely all right, and even a bonus, and even better, if you just create the whole abdomen first, right from where you think it should be. So ours got a little narrower, so I'm making sure that that's about right. And then once you've got the size of the abdomen taken care of, going back, oops, I bumped my camera. Going back in, making those lines a little bit darker, and then adding the abdominal segments. Alrighty, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm going to be changing up a little bit how I do my lines. I'm going to imagine the center of my abdomen kind of being the widest and most bulbous point. And when I make these abdominal segments, I'm going to arch them to show kind of the angle in my abdomen. I'll show you how I do that. So I'm going to pick the widest point, and I'm going to make one arch that kind of goes up and one arch that goes down. And these don't need to be steep. Alright, so that's kind of going to be my imagined kind of largest, widest point. I would definitely say, I think that this segment is going to be probably segment 4. So I want 3 segments above it, and I will go 1. This is going to be segment 5. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, so with that, you can see that all of these kind of angle up and all of these angle down, but the effect that that gives, it looks like that the abdomen's kind of coming up at you and then moving away. And that's the effect that I was trying to give. So we succeeded. Yay! And we'll go ahead and make those lines darker now that I think that they are all about where we want them. Oops. Alright, so we have our abdomen taken care of. It looks like this right in here needs to be just a little bit darker to match everything else. Sounds good. So we've got most of our body taken care of, but unfortunately our Jerusalem cricket still has stick legs, and we definitely need to fix those. right, so we are seeing a variety of different leg segments. If we start from the base of the body, right about here, this is the coxae, the coxal plate, or the coxal segment. This is our femur. This is our tibia with all of our tibial spines. And then we have tarsal segments. 1, 2, 3, kind of rectangular, conical tarsal segments. They would fit into one another. And then the fourth one here has our claws. We call them tarsal claws. And those are what my insect is going to be using to make sure that it doesn't blow away in the wind. It holds on, grips the ground, has the ability to crawl. Although you never really see Jerusalem crickets climbing on things, right? A lot of times you're not going to, for instance, you're not going to see them up on a window. You know, like you can see some cockroaches and even tarantulas that are walking vertically. Scorpions, beetles, moths, a lot of those types of things will kind of crawl up the wall or land on the wall. Jerusalem crickets would much rather sit on the ground. Keep all 6 feet on the ground. Especially if they're digging around. So, our coxae is coming out from the edge of this pronotum right about here. And so I'm just going to go ahead and grab kind of almost a wider segment right about here. And that's kind of going to be where our leg connects. Let's see. And I'm going to be working around this antenna because our leg is going to be moving upwards. Now our femur, you see it's kind of bulbous, so I'm going to make it kind of come in towards our Jerusalem cricket just a little bit. And then, let's see, kind of like, almost like that. I'm going to take this in just a little bit. Better. Alright, so I gave this little flat oval on the end of my femur because you can see right here that that's not Terry. This is Terry. That's Terry. Alright, so you can see right about here, there's kind of a circle, and that's where the tibia goes into. And so I created a kind of I need to make it a little wider. This is a little bit narrow. I'm going to create this kind of wider circle. And that's going to be where our tibia connects into. Well, keep in mind that the tibia is going to be passing over this bottom line, but it's going to be before this one. So let's see. I've got my femur. My tibia is going to be going out in this direction, kind of northeast, up and to the right. All right, so going in and turning our tibia in this direction, I'm going to go ahead and erase this line that we don't need anymore. Doop-de-doop-de-doo. All right. All right, so we've got a tibia started. I'm going to continue it on the other side of this antennal segment. So let's see, kind of like this, and then I'm going to start by making it rounded, and then I'm going to add the tibial spines. So it looks like our tibia is going to continue to about there, so a little bit past the head. And we've got a variety of tibial spines. So we've got some on the outside. Looks like we've got 2 shorter ones on the outside. We've got some larger ones on the inside. These are going to be really helpful for digging. So we've got this series of spines on the end of our tibia, and then we're going to have our tarsal segments. Now, my tarsal segments are just going to be moving up through this name, unfortunately, but that will be fine. Maybe I will actually put them angled so that they go in between these words. So I'm going to put one segment. Let's It's gonna get in the way of the spine, so I'm gonna draw the segment first, and then I will put the spine underneath it. So we've got 1, 2, 3, and then the bigger one, 4 with the claw. Alright, and then I'm going to add that final spine behind my claw. So I think that that is a pretty happy leg for my Jerusalem cricket. I'm probably only going to be doing the right set. So I'm going to be erasing my stick figure left legs as we go on. Unless you want me to leave it shrugging. I laugh. I digress. Okay, so we've got that first leg all taken care of, and we know what all of the pieces are called. And I feel like as we are learning insects and as we are kind of sketching them together, it helps to know their body parts, right? It helps to be able to kind of learn these segments so that when you're looking at an insect outside in the wild, or if you're trying to nature journal something quickly, you'll already know how many segments the legs should have and kind of their basic, what their body shape should look like. So then you can kind of have a base to start from. All right, now we're going to see that we also have coxal segments for our middle leg and our hind leg. And they all look like they're kind of right up next to each other, but they're all angled in different directions. This one is out, this one is diagonal, and this one goes all the way backwards. All right, so this one is kind of straight off of the pronotum. My second one is going to be angled a little bit, and my third one is going to be angled pretty much all the way backwards. So if I'm angling, it's going to be angling it this way a tiny bit, and it has to be kind of connected to our coxae here at the base. So I'm just going to kind of create this, let's see. I'm going to erase my stick figure leg, don't need it anymore. And it's not as flat as the other one is. It's a little bit wider. Something like that. And then the hind leg has its coxal plate. Kind of like this. So if we are looking, we've got the first, the second, and the third legs. And that's where our femur, our tibia, and our tarsal segments are going to connect to. So let's see. I prefer it when my femur comes up and my tibia comes back, I think. But I think we should follow the line that the coxa is giving us. So our femur is going to be narrow and no spines, just like the first leg. So we've got this femur here. We do have kind of a knee joint here that's going to help bend our leg. And then our tibia, because our leg came out in this direction, our tibia is now going to want to come this way. Let me do some thinking for a moment. I might swing this up just a little bit. And see, if I was sketching on an electronic device, I could just like shift and move this piece. But because we're sketching on paper, erase and resketch. I think that's going to be better. So I shifted it out just a little bit. I'm going to give it this kind of knee segment, and then I'm going to put the tibia this way. I think. Because then the femur and the tibia, and the tarsi. Femur, tibia, tarsi. Femur, tibia, tarsi. Femur, tibia, tarsi. Alright, don't mind me scribbling all over my paper. I am trying to find the best kind of angle for our legs to be in. You know, insects, they're mobile, but I'm just trying to come up with the best angle for our legs to sketch so that you can still see all of the parts. And what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to have this coxae that comes out and flat, but instead of pulling the femur out this way, I am going to put the femur up. And I know that that is not kind of how my specimen's legs are, but they do have the ability to pull their femurs up like this. And so I think that this is just fine. So we're going to put the femur up in this direction because then we can have this kind of knee segment and the tibia will come down like this. And it's going to be just a little bit rounded, and it's going to have all of those very sharp spines too. So I'm going to make sure that we get to add those in. And then we're going to add our 1, 2, 3, 4, the claw. All right, so we've got the base. Now I'm going to add some of these spines. So they have kind of this dual layer of spines. There's a series on the front and a series on the back. So let's see, I've got... And all of these spines are facing on the outside of my Jerusalem cricket. Alright, let's do the hind leg. I'm not so happy with the middle leg yet. I might go back and change it. Welcome! I'm glad you've joined us. We are sketching a Jerusalem cricket today in the family Stenopelmatidae. Right now, we are observing the hind leg. So right about here, we've got the Coxae segment, and we're going to be putting the femur and the tibia. Sorry about that middle leg. I was still trying to figure out what angles it should go on. But we've got the hind leg, and I think the hind leg will be just fine doing it this way. So our hind leg, this is going to be considered our femur segment. Just like in humans, the femur is that segment between the hip and the knee. In insects, the femur is between the coxae and the tibia. So I've got that femur kind of coming up and out and away from the body. And then the tibia is going to be riding kind of close, but it's going to be coming towards the back. I'm going to give this a little rounded edge. Alright, and so that's going to be kind of the base tibia shape, but I'm also going to want to add all of those awesome spines. And you can see that there's kind of that double layer of spines on its hind tibia. Let's see. Scooch it back just a little bit so we can see the rest of our specimen. So right about here, you can see there's this layer, and then there's another layer on this side. And in between the lines of spines, you've got these tarsal segments, 1, 2, 3, with the claws. So if I am starting it from here, I might actually want to make it get pretty wide at the base, though. It's not going to be narrow. Alright, and so then I'm going to start adding these spines. Until they get to the bottom, and they are actually pretty long. And then we've got tarsal segments. 1, 2, 3, with the claw. I'm pretty happy with the first pair of legs and the hind pair of legs. The middle legs, I'm not exactly sure how I would go about fixing the angle of which it's sitting. It kind of looks a little like it has a broken leg. That's fine. And as you know, there's enough time for you to sketch both legs, but as I'm talking and sketching at the same time, generally I only have time to sketch one set of legs. So I've got the right set of legs taken care of. I have already done the antenna. We have our body. I could come in here and add some of that shading, right? So our Jerusalem cricket is mostly dark on the abdomen, except for light bands where the segments change, right? So we have lines where the segments, we have hard lines where we've got segments, right? But on our Jerusalem cricket, the segmentation is actually light, whereas in between the different segments is kind of dark. So if you wanted, you can go through and add some of this kind of darker shading. I'll go back in and kind of smear it out. Something like that. Well, thank you for joining me today. I hope you had a great time, and I know that we didn't have too many people joining me today, but here's for hoping that some of you come back and watch this session and have a good time and get to learn a little bit about the Jerusalem cricket. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, share. Ooh, I should do this. All right, feel free to find me at a variety of different social media locations at Insectopia 2015. So you can find me on Instagram, you can find me on Facebook, you can hear about events that I'm doing on either location. I also teach virtually on a platform called OutSchool. That is for students that are school age. A lot of my classes are for 5 to 8-year-olds and 9 to 12-year-olds, but I do teach high school level entomology, kind of like a college prep entomology. The class that I would have loved to take as a high schooler, that's what I'm teaching. Now, you can always feel free to subscribe, and if you've sat along with me and you spent the whole hour drawing and sketching and enjoying your time, I super would appreciate a donation. This helps me continue to do what I love, and it helps me to continue to do this, to continue to live stream, and it gives me hope that one day I will hit 4,000 watch hours on YouTube and will be able to get monetized here too. That would be wonderful. All right, so until then, your donations are what are supporting me. So pretty please buy me a coffee or two. Have a wonderful rest of your week. I will be back on August 4th. Stay buggy.